First of all, I'd like to say thank you, Steve, for taking the time to letting me interview you.
Yeah, no problem. Absolutely. Happy to do it.
So, during your time as, I guess, how's life after, the Power Rangers?
Well, after Rangers, while I was on Power Rangers, I opened up my own martial arts studio.
Oh.
That's what I've been doing my whole life. I've been doing martial arts since I was 12 years old.
What kind of martial arts?
I started out in Taekwondo.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been doing that already for several years before I had gotten on the show. I had already been training that for Taekwondo for about 8 years at that point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so after Rangers was over, I just took the money that I had and I opened up my own Taekwondo studio and ran that for several years. Then after that, I just kind of like went to where I was like, instead of having a studio, I was kind of like a traveling instructor where I would teach at different places, teach seminars and teach classes for kids and things like that, and travel around doing martial arts class.
So pretty much this was going on before you end up on the show?
Well, I was teaching. I was an instructor before I was before I got on the show as well. Yeah, because I started when I was 12 and I got my black belt when I was 16.
Wow.
And so I had been teaching for 4 years as a black belt, working for my instructor in his studio, and then I auditioned for the part when I was 20, and then from there I moved to California and then started working on the show, and then while I was working on the show, I opened up my own school and ran that for a long time.
So
that's what I do still, even to this day. I have my own studio now.
So where was your first studio when you first started? And I guess you how old were you when you first opened your gym?
21 years old.
Wow. And your current gym right now is in Los Angeles?
It's in Los Angeles, yeah. The other one was in Los Angeles as well, but a different part of L.A. A place called Valencia. Valencia, California.
Valencia,
California was where we filmed the show.
Oh, nice.
So I lived out there, and then I worked at the studios there, and then I would go teach at my school after work.
Were you ever involved in any of the choreography going on like during the show?
Was I involved in any what? I'm sorry?
On the choreographing of like the fight scenes and stuff.
Oh yeah. That was one thing they let us do. Whenever we were doing our own fight scenes, they let us choreograph a bunch of our own stuff. So, and if we didn't know what to do or come up with, they would come up with stuff for us. But a lot of times, I already had my own routines already worked out, so they would let me do my own fight scenes.
And they would use your gym as well too, or you just happen to use their facilities?
Well, I mean, the fight scenes that we would do were always outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were always filming outside or in the on set.
Mm-hmm.
But I would rehearse my fight scene, either at my own studio or we would just rehearse them on the day of, the morning of before we would start shooting. We would spend an hour or so rehearsing the fight scenes that we were going to do for that day. Gotcha.
So, do you still watch your old episodes?
Not too much, actually.
Not too much.
It was always a little weird to see myself on TV, so I never watched the shows that much. I've seen a few, but I have certainly not seen all the episodes that I did.
Did you get nostalgia? Like, turn me off, I had enough?
No, not really. I mean, the only one that I've seen more recently is the movie, because next year marks the 20-year anniversary for the Power Ranger movie.
And are they going to release it on Blu-ray anytime soon, like an actual digital copy with like 10 more minutes of extra footage, or?
I feel like they already have something like that. I feel like they do have it on Blu-ray already. I'm not sure though. I think they do.
Well,
but I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's just on DVD.
Maybe it's just on DVD.
Yeah, but they have all the episodes now on DVD through a company called Shout Factory.
Yeah, I saw they have, I guess, your Red Ranger helmet with all the episodes put on it, correct?
Uh-huh. Yep, that's right.
Have you actually watched any of the newer episodes after you, or you just turned yourself off in a way?
I've seen a couple, but no, I haven't really, But I do know a lot of the people that are in those in those later episodes, you know, because we do a lot of shows together, like Eternal Con.
Yeah.
And so I do see some of their shows every now and again, but I don't follow the storylines or anything like that.
So you have to like keep in touch, be like, okay, he did this episode and he wore this color, and you have to pay attention to them for like 5 minutes, right?
Right, exactly.
So pretty much besides teaching, what's a typical day like? What's a typical day for you if you're not teaching?
Well,
when you're not at cons, pretty much. When you're not at cons, when you're not teaching martial arts, like what's your normal day like?
There really isn't much more to my life, my man. Really, I mean, you know, like I own my studio, so you know, I'm there running the ins and outs of it every day. You know what I mean? Like handling all the day-to-day operations, you know, that are involved in, you know, running a business. You know, if I'm not teaching, I'm kind of behind the desk on the computer trying to, you know, get things going to get more students in the door and so on and so forth. You know, just it's a real job. You know.
Well, I also see. Well, promoting yourself is always one thing. I've always seen like your photos where you end up going to different martial arts studios, and I believe your new studio has to do with Brazilian
jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So what cities have you gone to that have the same studios?
Tons, man, tons. I went and taught a class one time at Jason David Frank's studio, who is the Green Ranger. And I went to his MMA school and taught some classes there. I've been to and trained in Brazil. I've trained in Puerto Rico when we did the Puerto Rico Comic-Con.
Uh-huh.
I've trained in Boston. I've trained in Texas. You know, I've pretty much every city that I try to go to, I try to find a school. You know.
Do you call up the school
I trained in London, England, with some friends of mine there. You know, at their jiu-jitsu academy. So yeah, I've kind of been all over the place.
Is this like a community, just like musicians go to like a bunch of like shows and have friends? Is this like the same thing? You can just go to any single dojo and just waltz right in, kind of?
100%, yeah. Especially if you're a jiu-jitsu black belt, you know.
Yeah.
You'd be like, hey, you know, I'm a black belt from this school. You know, they know the academy. Oh yeah, great, man. Come on in. You're welcome. You know, and I do the same for anybody that comes through from another city. You know, like earlier today, I was teaching a class, and this guy came in from one of our sister schools in another city. And he was like, hey, can I come in and train? I'm like, absolutely, come on in, you know. And he came and trained with all the guys and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, we welcome anybody, and usually we're always very welcome everywhere we go too.
So pretty much it's a rite of passage.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like we're a community, you know, because we you know, there's so, you know, in the grand scheme of the whole world, there's so few people that do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and so we're just, you know, we have this really special thing that's like so special to us, you know, that we have in common, you know. Yeah. So if I ever see another guy walking around with a jiu-jitsu shirt on, I'm like, I give him the little nod, like, hey, you train? And he's like, yeah, I train, you know, and we're like that. We're instant friends right away, you know, because we just have this common bond that's so strong because we have such a love for the sport, you know.
That's amazing. That's pretty cool. Like you don't have
that sense of community. I can literally go anywhere in the world, and I tell them I train jiu-jitsu, and they'll welcome me in. It's awesome.
So, have you been to New York before, or just besides the movie tour that you did years ago? When was the last time you were in New York?
God, I feel like I was there. It's been a few years, but I've been there. I've been there a couple of times. I've been to New York a few times since that happened. But I was there probably in like 2001. And then I believe there was a couple other times too, but I can't really place it right now. But yeah, I've been to New York. Yes.
Oh, it sounds like you need a tour guide. It sounds like you need to go on a tour.
Yeah, I know. I would like to, you know, but unfortunately, I have such a very short period of time. Usually, whenever I get to a city, you know, I usually try to get there a couple of days earlier just to acclimate and go try to check out the city and stuff. But this trip that got me on is really short. You know, I mean, I get in on Friday night. And, you know, then immediately go right into the show and start doing the convention. And then right after the convention's over, I hop back on a plane and come back home, you know?
And this time you're on Long Island. You're not, like, in the city.
Exactly, yeah. So, unfortunately, I won't really get to see much.
Yes, actually, you can, actually. With the right tour guide, you can actually see all the movie spots that you've seen throughout your life.
Oh, nice.
So
well, that would be amazing.
So actually, you could tell like one of your friends, which is our mutual friend Brimstone. He'll take you to the Batman house from 1989 to like 1993.
Oh yeah, from the Michael Keaton Batman.
Yes, the Michael Keaton Batman house.
That would be awesome, actually.
So.
Yeah, I believe that that Saturday night we're gonna have a little time to kind of check out some stuff. So we'll probably try to get into the city a little bit and explore it a little bit.
I recently saw like on a post, I guess it was with the Green Ranger with Jason David Scott. You had ordered fish tacos, but without the fish. Yeah. Are you a recent vegetarian, or this just became, or you've always been a vegetarian?
No, I've been a vegetarian for about the past 3.5 years. I haven't eaten any meat. I don't eat meat, and generally I don't really eat any kind of animal products. Really, but every now and again, something that's got cheese in it, or it's cooked with butter, or something like that, I'll eat it. But for the most part, most of my diet is wholly plant-based.
What came about that you decided just to become a vegetarian for all our vegetarian fans out there?
Well, it kind of, the way it happened was, I just decided to go on a cleanse one time. I just wanted to detox, and the cleanse that they happened to put me on was like a it was like the vegan cleanse where you eat each day, you cut out certain things on this 10-day cleanse, So first you get rid of all the sugars, all refined sugar. And then the second day you get rid of meat. Then the third day you get rid of dairy. Then the fourth day you get rid of all these grains. Then on the fifth day you get rid of this. And then by day 6, 7, and 8 or whatever, you're just eating like apples and broccoli. It was a horrible, I felt horrible during that time, you know what I mean? But on day like 8, 9, and 10, you start bringing things back. So on day 8, you're like, okay, now you can bring back, apples, or you can bring back this. And then on day 9, you can bring back grains. And on day 10, you can bring everything else back. Well, by the 10th day, my energy level was just like through the roof, and I couldn't believe like how much energy I had for not eating anything, And I just really loved the way that I felt during that end of that cleanse, So I just kind of said to myself, that wasn't too difficult, I mean, yeah, I felt like crap, they're 5, 7, and 6, 7, and 8 or whatever. I felt horrible, But that was because my body was detoxing. But once my body detoxed, and I was getting all this great food that was just like in its natural state, my body knew how to absorb it right, and it just distributed energy out to my body like I hadn't felt in a really long time. Because I train and work out all the time, but I couldn't lose any weight or anything like that. And because I gained weight when I turned 30, I gained like 30 pounds. You know what I mean? My metabolism changed, and so on and so forth. So when I did this cleanse, I just loved the way that it made me feel. I didn't really lose a ton of weight or anything like that, but
you pretty much had more energy. Pretty much,
I just had more energy, and I felt great. So I just kept eating like that, and then all of a sudden, in 2 months, I had lost like 30 pounds, and I was just like, my body came back and looked the same as it did when I was 20, you know what I mean? So I was just like, wow, this is great, without even realizing it. So I just said, I'm going to eat like this forever, because I know now that it is what you put in your body that matters more than anything else, So if you're going to fuel your machine, you got to fuel it with the top grade stuff, So...
Well, while you're doing the cleanse, were you also working out at the time too, or were you just trying to do the cleanse first?
No, I was working out the whole time too.
Like full workouts or just shorter workouts?
Oh, full workouts. Yeah, full on workouts. Yeah.
And like you never felt tired during like your cleansing periods?
Well, there were a couple of days there where I felt headachy because you're deep, but it was because I'm detoxing. I'm getting all that crap, that you eat, all that processed food and like heavy foods that your body doesn't know how to break down. It had to get rid of all that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, so there was some time where I didn't feel great during it, but it didn't stop me from training. No.
So every once in a while, you will indulge with a sugar cookie every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, every once in a while, I'll eat, something like, especially if I'm kind of on the road, if I'm traveling, it's harder sometimes to find the vegan options that I need, so I'll kind of switch it to a vegetarian option. But, as a general rule, I try to stay away from all of that.
So that's good. I've always wondered that because, like, the whole fish taco thing, you kind of made fun of yourself about it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, that was just it. In Puerto Rico, there was no vegetarian options at this restaurant we went to. So I was like, all right, well, just give me the fish tacos because all the other fillings that were inside were all veggies. So take the fish out.
Yeah.
And they're like, they looked at me all funny, but I'm like, okay, whatever. And they're like, all right, who ordered the fish tacos with no fish? And I'm like, that's me.
And
So-
while everyone just made fun of you for the few
Oh
minutes.
yeah, everybody makes fun of me all the time. You know what I mean? But the truth of the matter is, they make fun of me because they know I'm right.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So I'm just like, whatever. You know, it's like that's your way of coping. You know, because you don't want to take the steps that are necessary to better yourself. So you make fun of me to feel better about the way that you eat. And that's fine. You know, but
True.
you know, when you're 50 and you got to have a bypass, that's not on me. You know.
Well, actually, while you're on the road, what kind of music do you listen to, and what's currently on your playlist?
Let's see. I've got my phone right here in front of me. I really have a huge mix, you know? So when I look at my Spotify playlist here, you know, I look at things like, okay, I've got right now that's playing right now is Love Me Two Times by The Doors.
Wow.
And then, you know, I've got all kinds of different stuff in here. Daft Punk, Crystal Castles, Block Party, The Doors, the Box Tops, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Depeche Mode, Yaz, Moby, a band called Texas, The Cult.
No eyeshine?
No, I know. I've got some eyeshine in here too, but you know, I mean everything. I got Blackstreet in here, Snoop Dogg, Rihanna, Maroon 5.
What do you got? The whole '90s list there? I mean, you're
David
just
Bowie.
living the whole '90s like
I know.
genre.
Well, yeah, I got '70s in there too. You know, '60s as well. I had The Doors. I got David Bowie in there. I got Massive Attack, and Goldfrapp. That's from the 2000s.
Yeah, Goldfrapp. Yes.
You know,
Which they played with Depeche Mode at one point.
What's that? Say that again.
Goldfrapp did play with Depeche Mode at one point.
Oh, word? Yeah, that's great, man. Yeah, see, I mean, I just have like a real eclectic, you know, taste here. Blue Oyster Cult, The Offspring, Journey, Dire Straits, Van Halen, Queen, you know, Guns N' Roses, Green Day, Adele. I mean, it's all in here, you know? I mean, I have everything.
So pretty much, when was the last time you went to a live show, like a live concert?
Actually, a couple years ago, I went and saw Guns N' Roses, in fact. You know, Axl was playing in L.A., man, and it was amazing at the Forum. And it was a great show. It was like probably one of the best shows I've seen in a long time.
That's awesome. I'm actually a lot of people don't get a chance to see Guns N' Roses, so.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing, yeah, for sure.
Well, I also want to get back to actually the old Power Ranger days. You had made fun of yourself again. I guess someone put their butt on your face while you were sleeping.
Yeah, I used to fall asleep on set a lot because, you know, it would get boring sometimes while you're waiting.
Yeah.
For
set changes and costumes
up or whatever. So, you know, there's not a lot to do. So sometimes, you know, you just gotta just sleep, you know.
Yeah.
So because we just have to get up so early all the time. So you know, because we're up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you know, we're actually in the makeup chair at 5 o'clock in the morning. So sometimes we're up at 4:30 in the morning. So I guess one time I was sleeping on set. And, you know, they decided to mess with me, so they were putting their butt in my face and stuff like that.
Do you know whose butt it was?
I think it was Jason Frank, but I don't know for sure because I don't have any pictures of it.
No. I guess someone said that there was a photo. But I also heard you're a prankster as well, too. You're always the man of jokes.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. I'm not really a guy who tries to put too many pranks on people, to be honest. Because I don't know. I never liked it done to me, so I never really did it. But maybe if somebody's got a story or two, I'm sure they're out there. But I don't have any that I can honestly recall.
No, any chance we're going to see a prank by accident during the weekend?
I don't know, man. If someone will give up their little rascal scooter, I might take that thing and go cruising around the convention and stuff and mess with people.
So are you saying someone should bring a prop? You're asking for fans to bring props now.
Yes, please bring props. Yeah, bring a rascal scooter if you have one, and I'll start cruising around in it.
Speaking about the cons now, when was the first time you went to your first Comic-Con? Were you a fan going in, or was it the first time you went as the Red and Blue Ranger?
The first time I ever went to a con was as the Ranger, and it was 2007, and it was a Power Ranger convention. It was the first one they ever did, and they got a hold of as many of us as they could and invited us to come do this show. And I was like, yeah, that's fantastic. That sounds like fun. You know, I guess we'll just kind of see what happens. And that was like a real eye-opener for me because I didn't really realize like how many fans were really out there and that were still strong and still had like such a love for the show and everything and for our characters. And when I walked out of the hotel lobby and into the ballroom where they were having the convention, and all the audience, or not all of the people, were waiting in line to get their tickets and stuff, and they saw me walk by them, and they all just started cheering and stuff, you know? Nobody said anything. They just started cheering as I was walking by, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. Couldn't believe, like, how much love was still out there, you know?
So pretty much it's like Star Wars and Star Trek for you, like right off the bat.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, it's part of pop culture now, and there's, you know, I mean, it's something that probably won't ever go away, which is very cool.
Do you get, like, weirded out or just, like, find it very odd when someone, I guess, older than you is wearing the Red Ranger or a Power Ranger costume, or you just find it to just be awesome that there's so many age ranges of fans?
I think it's cool, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just glad that people can relate no matter what age, you know? Because there's a lot of good messages about Power Rangers, you know? I mean, it was you know, there was a lot of positive things that came from that show, you know, as far as, like, teaching kids about teamwork, or teaching people in general about teamwork and diversity, and, you know, just how to stand up for yourself, and, you know, just all of those things, you know, combined, you know. And so for people of any age, if they were into it, you know, I'm never going to be like, oh, that's a little weird that somebody's in their 30s and likes the show, you know. I think it's great. I mean, I used to watch the show too. Remember, I came on in season 2, you know.
Yeah.
And being a martial artist, I just liked watching martial arts shows, you know. Because any show that had cool fight scenes and stuff, I liked watching. So I was a bit of a fan of the show myself.
And then you got the call.
Well, yeah, then I got the call. But I think that's actually one thing that helped me, to be honest, because I knew the show. Yeah. And I knew, like, you know, how they did their morphing sequence and all that stuff like that. I was familiar with it. So when I auditioned, and, you know, everybody else was just kind of doing, like, oh, they're saying it's morphin time, but they didn't know how to do the moves that went along with it, you know, and I did, and I think that kind of one of the things that kind of impressed them. So I think it actually helped me, you know, having a little bit of knowledge about it.
Were you surprised, I guess, when you took over the other Red Ranger spot?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Were you like shocked when you became the Red Ranger for the show?
Yeah, well, I mean, to be quite honest, you know, like, when we were auditioning for the show, I didn't know that they were looking to replace. I thought they were looking to augment the cast, you know?
Yeah.
And so when I got hired on, they didn't even know nobody, like, from wardrobe or anybody like that, even really knew, like, oh, which Ranger are you going to be, you know? And I'm like, well, I don't really know. And it was almost kind of like they just sort of decided on the spot, well, who's going to be the Black Ranger, who's going to be the Red Ranger, you know? And they're like, oh, I guess John will be the black one and Steve will be the red one. I was like, okay, cool. So...
And then during that whole transformation, how did that feel, like, on set?
Well, in the beginning, I was nervous, you know, because I knew that I was going to be replacing some pretty big shoes, you know, like, especially knowing the show, and I knew how popular it was. You know, I knew there were going to be some pissed-off people, so to speak, but... And
Austin's shoes were pretty big to fill at the time, too.
Yeah, at the time, yeah, for sure. So I basically was like, well, I'm just gonna show up and I'm gonna do my work, you know. But the cool thing is that, like, the other cast members, the ones that stayed, you know, they were so helpful. You know, they were really cool. They just kind of, like, took us under their wing right away and made us feel comfortable and didn't make us feel like, you know, we were taking their friend's job or anything like that. You know, they understood what you know, the bigger picture about it all, and you know, they were very welcoming and helpful, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Well, how did it feel later when you had your own movie and you're on a giant silver screen with more fans watching you in the theaters?
I love it, man. I really do, you know? I find, like, a sense of joy about it, but also a little sense of humility that, you know, there's people out there that just still have, like, you know, a love for it all. You know, I mean, to me, like, there's nothing more rewarding than that, you know? Mm-hmm. And just being able to touch people's lives and have that impact on them, you know, no matter what age they are, it was awesome, you know? And it's so cool that now the kids are all older now. They're all grown up, you know? And now they're having nostalgia. They come and see me, they're like, dude, you were my childhood, you know? And I'm like, well, that's great, man. I love that feeling, you know? So I can never hear too much of that.
So while you're at the Comic-Cons, who is the most interesting celeb that you've met?
Well, I was just sitting 2 rows over at Dallas Comic-Con a couple weeks ago from William Shatner, which was very cool. Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future. Let's see. Who
All
else?
your childhood, like I guess your celebs.
Yeah, absolutely. But also too cool writers too, like George R.R. Martin, the guy who wrote Game of Thrones.
Yes.
And a bunch of the Game of Thrones cast people. I met them. You know, I got to meet my hero, which is Ralph Macchio from the Karate Kid.
Nice.
I used to love the Karate Kid. I mean, that movie was my favorite movie growing up because I used to get bullied all the time. You know, when I was a young kid before I got into martial arts. And I lived in Idaho, and there was these kids that used to just terrorize me every single day after school, and it was horrible. And so I used to watch the Karate Kid all the time when and I just used to pray that I could learn karate, and so that I could just beat these guys up, you know what I mean?
True.
And I ended up moving away, to another city, and then that's when I got involved in martial arts. But it was Ralph Macchio that was the one who got me wishing I could do martial arts and relating to him and his story and stuff. So when I got to meet him I met him this year actually, and I went up and I told him, I was like, dude, I got to take a picture with you. I'm really geeking out right now, and I'm holding the Red Ranger helmet. I'm taking a picture with him, and I'm just like the happiest as can be. And I told him, I'm like, dude, you're the reason I got involved in martial arts. And he kind of was like, oh, well, and you stuck with it, and I didn't, and he was kind of laughing about it. And I was like, hey, well, it's never too late to get back into it, But anyway, it was a really good feeling, to just to be. That's one of the things I feel really blessed about with this whole thing is that, I get to meet some really cool people that I was fans of, and, I get it when people come up to me and say it's because I stay to these people as well, too, I'm like, hey, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of your work. I'm not just an actor like everybody else, I mean, I did one show, the rest of my life has all been watching other people on shows,
Yeah.
So I'm kind of just like all my fans that come out and see me,
That's really truly amazing. Any chance we're gonna see a Steve and Ralph documentary or show?
I have no idea, man. I mean, somebody could always come up with a story like that if they wanted to tell a piece of my life. Then that would certainly be an interesting part of it, to be sure. But
or pretty much you guys can do a TV show and Ralph Macchio is your bully.
yeah, right. Or Ralph Macchio could be my dad or something.
Or he can be your mentor.
He could be my mentor, exactly. That would be fun. Yeah, who knows, I mean, they make all kinds of stuff now, so who knows? I mean, if there's a market for it, I'm sure they'll find a way,
All right. Of the people you haven't met at the cons, who is somebody you're dying to meet still and hasn't shown up to a con yet?
Hasn't shown up to a con yet?
But you're dying to meet. Besides Ralph Macchio, that already passed.
Well, actually, let me backtrack just a little bit because there is one other person that was kind of a hero to me as well, too. That's actually going to be at EternalCon this weekend, and that's K-Mac. Because K-Mac was Bruce Leroy from The Last Dragon, and that was another movie that I used to watch as a kid. I used to watch The Karate Kid, and then I'd pop that movie out, and I'd pop The Last Dragon in, because I just used to love watching martial arts, and I was obsessed with it, and I was just obsessed with these martial artists that had to overcome serious adversity from bullies, and that was kind of what he was dealing with too. So it was pretty cool, I just, so actually I got to meet K-Mac also last year in my hometown when I went to Alamo City Comic Con in San Antonio, and I went up and I told him, I'm like, dude, you're one of the reasons that I got into martial arts because I used to watch your movie all the time, and he was laughing about it. And it's funny because my chiropractor is one of his best friends, too, so it's just kind of a small world, And, so as far as seeing somebody that I haven't seen yet, I don't know. You put me on the spot on that one.
Sorry.
I don't know. No, there's people that have been at conventions that I've gone to that just I never got the chance to meet. Like a couple weeks ago, Alice Cooper was at a convention with me, and, I was just at my table the whole time, and he was at his table, and I never got the chance to go see him and go meet him, But I've got to meet so many very cool people, like Flash Gordon, he's really cool.
I met him at Myrtle Beach. He's really nice.
Yeah, he's really nice. Yeah, exactly. I mean, one time, we were, I think it was last year, it was in Rhode Island. We were at the Rhode Island Comic-Con. And, and I had just done a show with him in London, actually. And then we ran into him again in Rhode Island. I was like, hey, what's up, man? He's like, hey, what's up? Let me buy you a beer, I'm like, okay, sure. So it's cool. Flash Gordon is buying me a beer. That's awesome, So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that I'd like to meet. I don't ever foresee Bruce Willis doing a convention ever, but it would be cool if he just showed up to one. That'd be awesome.
You never know. Expendables 3 is coming out, probably a 4th one, so hopefully there will be a Comic-Con with these guys show up.
Yeah, well, you never know. I mean, and, they're making a Power Ranger reboot, so hopefully I can get in on that as well, too, I'm trying to put the word out to Lionsgate right now, so we'll see what happens, but,
at least have you guys make cameos. I mean, just look at what 21 Jump Street did.
I don't want to have a big role or anything like that. Shoot, just put me in there like Stan Lee does. Stan Lee's always got a little tiny part in all of his comic book movies.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying. Just put me in a little part.
Put me in the cubby and just show my face for like 2 seconds. I'm there.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's something I would definitely do. I would do it for free. You know what I mean?
True.
Because I would love a chance to give back to the fans. There was a few times that I was supposed to do some reunion episodes, and things just fell through and was never able to get back on the show. Mm-hmm. And so, I had a lot of missed opportunities, and I know the fans are always asking for me to come back. And, the truth is I would love to come back, but it's really not up to me. It's up to the producers and stuff. So, I'm putting the words out there and letting them know that I'm very interested. So we'll see what happens.
How about a fan-made movie where you can you can reenact all your old stunts and new stunts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to do a fan-based movie as well too, as long as it can get the proper exposure. Mm-hmm. That that it would spread to enough people. I mean, because I would just I want to be able to kind of give back to everybody.
Yes.
I'm going to do it with Saban,
Pretty much, yes. You have to get their approval, of course.
Yeah.
Going to all these Comic-Cons, what happens to be your favorite city?
Well, London was a blast. I loved London, and going to Australia too. I did Australia.
Mm-hmm.
I did a two-city tour in Australia, Brisbane and Adelaide. Beautiful. Brisbane was just an amazing city. I had a great time there. So that was pretty cool. Going to Brazil, of course, and training jiu-jitsu in the Mecca of jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. That was awesome. Taking a tour of the Amazon River. That was amazing. Walking around the streets of Sao Paulo was very cool. And of course, just, touring all of London as well, because I went to London for like a whole week before the actual show started.
Was that your first time in London, or I guess?
It was my first time ever, yeah, in England or Europe or anything like that. So I definitely want to get back over there. There's a possibility I might be going back in November to there. There's a possibility I might be going back to Brazil again, too, in October. So, and then, of course, in between, after Eternal Con, I have probably another 10 more shows that I'm doing, that I'm lined up to do between now and the end of the year.
Wow, so, just staying on the road.
Yeah, I'm over the place. Like, at least every other weekend I'm on the road somewhere,
That's good. Good for you, man. Good
for you. The month of May, I did a con every single weekend.
How did that feel?
It's good. I love it. You know what I mean? Like, right now I'm in mode where, I really want to reach out to the fans. I want to give back. They give so much. And they're always, they follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and they just kind of always give so much. Hey, we love you, Steve. We thought you were great on the show and all that kind of stuff like that. And I'm just really grateful for it. And so I like going out and meeting them as well too. So I try to engage with as many people as I can, and not just out on the road, but even in my Facebook and everything. I actually talk to them when they email me. I try to email back when I can, and whenever they talk to me on Instagram, I always kind of give them a little shout back and so on and so forth. So I think the fans appreciate that too, and it makes them come out for me more as well too when I go to the shows.
Awesome. So what's gonna happen? I know you do prizes and gifts for like your first couple. Your first couple of fans that show up online. Is there any prizes you're giving out for this weekend for EternalCon?
I got a new one. I got this poster that I've had made. A friend of mine named James Griffith. He created this painting and I just posted it up. Just a couple days ago, letting people know that I was going to be making these available. But he made this amazing painting of me that it looks real. It looks like a photo, but it's actually painting. And it's like just a collage of a bunch of different action scenes from the Power Rangers, and just a bunch of different shots of my face and stuff. And so he made this really cool portrait, and I'm going to turn it into a big poster that I'm going to give away at this show at EternalCon.
Nice.
So whoever shows up on Saturday morning, for the first person that shows up in line is going to get that.
So do I get a copy? No, I'm kidding.
Come see me, man. I'm going to have some 8x10s there available, so come pick out whatever picture you want. I'll have a bunch of different kind of autograph photos available there, so you can come pick out what you like. No worries, dude. Well,
Steve, how about you give one quick shout-out? Tell me what you want to say in the microphone. The mic's all yours. Go for it.
Okay. I really appreciate everybody, 20 years later, man, because in July it will be 20 years that I started on the show. So I'm really grateful for all the people that have followed me all this time. And if you don't know how to follow me, you can follow me at on Facebook, the Steve Cardenas fan page. Instagram is Steve_Red_Ranger, and Twitter is Steve Cardenas PR. So you can follow me on any of those. You can also check out my jiu-jitsu school website. It's forcebalancebjj.com. So any of those places you can find out what's going on with me. If you're ever in LA and you want to come work out, I'm always available. You can come take a free class at my academy. So I just love meeting my fans, and I consider them my friends. So come to see me.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Thank you for your time, and I will see you at EternalCon.
Word. Take care, bro.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye.